I told my husband that we're not going to his little sister's wedding, and now his whole family is saying horrible things about me. I need to know if I'm the villain. I don't think I'm the villain. Maybe I'm the villain. As a starter, I'm just gonna say it. I've never particularly loved my husband's relationship with his little sister. It's weird, okay? It kind of freaks me out a little bit. For example, one time when I first started dating my husband, I was talking to his little sister and she was complaining about being single, and I was like, well, maybe I can set you up with one of my friends. Like, what's your type? She says, I want somebody exactly like my brother. I was like, what? What are you talking about? She's like, my brother's the best guy. Like, you are the luckiest girl in the world. If I could date a man exactly like my brother, perfect. It's like, oh, nope, I don't like that. Don't get me wrong. I love a family-oriented man, but it always felt like his little sister was trying to compete with me. Girl, we have very different roles in your brother's life, so there's no reason. No reason to be jealous of me. No reason to compete with me, but she does. I'm telling you, every single time we had some kind of big event, like my birthday or one of our anniversaries, his sister would always have some kind of emergency. I was like, there's no way. There's no, one time, okay, maybe that's just unfortunate, but like, I'm sorry, the third birthday in a row I'm spending by myself because you're having a breakdown and you need your brother. So my husband and I got married 8 months ago, where she was a menace, okay? If you want the story time about all the things that his sister did at our wedding, let me know, because that's a whole story time in itself. But anyways, my husband and I decided that instead of doing a honeymoon right after our wedding, we were gonna wait a few months so that we could save up more money and really do the honeymoon that we wanted. And finally, our honeymoon is right around the corner. We have put so much time and money into planning this thing. I'm actually way more excited for the honeymoon than I even was about the wedding. Here's where things start getting wild. This weekend, we had a dinner at my in-laws' house, and my husband's little sister brought her new boyfriend, who looked really strangely like her brother. I just wanted to point that out. I mean, it was noticeable. The similarities were pretty clear. And I wish that was my biggest concern, because there were a lot more issues that came out of this dinner. Now, this was the first time we were meeting her new boyfriend. This girl is like a revolving door of boyfriends. I meet a new one at every single family dinner. I think she had been dating her new boyfriend for like maybe 2 months. Then, in the middle of dinner, his sister stands up and is like, we have a really exciting announcement. We're getting married. I thought it was a joke. I was like, wait, what? Like, last family dinner, you had a completely different man here. You were saying you were in love with him. Now you're getting married to this one? I mean, you know what? None of my business. And everyone else at the table is super excited. I was like, am I the only one that finds this strange? Like, she just met this man. No one's concerned? Okay. Again, none of my business. That's all you, girl. But also, I'm thinking there's absolutely no way these two are actually going to get married, because in the time it's going to take them to actually plan the wedding, they're going to break up. I don't think that any of her relationships have lasted more than 6 months. So finally, my husband asks her, I mean, do you have any plans for when you want the wedding to be? And when she tells us, I'm floored. That's all I can say. I was absolutely taken aback, because not only is her wedding less than a month away, it's on the first full day of our honeymoon. Immediately, the type A planner in me, I'm like, whoa, okay, how are you gonna plan a wedding in less than a month? It takes a lot to plan a wedding. She was like, oh, I think it's just gonna be really small and low key. We can do it here in my parents' backyard. And like, you still have a lot of the decorations from your wedding. I can just use those. I'm like, you know what? Fine. She wants my decorations. She didn't really ask for them. She just told me basically I was gonna give them to her, and I will. That's fine. She wants to borrow them, she can. But I tell her, hey, you probably wanna move the date like a week later, because me and your brother, like, we're gonna be on our honeymoon. She looks at me and she's like, ugh, too bad, guess you're gonna have to move it. Silly me thinking that she picked this date on accident. Definitely wasn't an accident. She looks at me and she's like, we were looking at the calendar, and that specific date, it really spoke to us. Like, we knew that's when we needed to get married. I'm sorry. I didn't know that calendars developed vocal cords. All of a sudden it told you when to get married. No, you can move it. It's not like anything's been planned or booked for the wedding. It just decided that that was the date that she wanted to get married. So I say, okay, listen, if that date really spoke to you, get married on it. Like, it's your life, it's your wedding. But unfortunately, we would not be able to go, because everything we booked for our honeymoon was non-refundable, and we have a ton of things planned for that day. We'd have to spend more money rebooking plane tickets, and then we would be out a ton of money for the activities that we already planned that day. And we already moved our honeymoon back so that we could afford these things. So we're not gonna just now not go. And I knew this girl was a drama queen, but I was not ready for this reaction. She slammed her hands on the table and immediately started sobbing. She was like, "You're the most selfish person I've ever met in my life." I was looking around, I was like, there's no way she's talking to me right now. Absolutely no way. She goes, "I can't believe that you're gonna keep my big brother away from me on the most important day of my life." I was like, okay, your wedding to this man that you just met, that you could have on any other day because you haven't planned it. Preferably maybe a day in like a year or something. We actually know the guy, but whatever. So their parents run over to her. They're comforting her. They're babying her. And I look at my husband. I was like, yeah, that is our cue to get out of here. He's like, no, I feel like we should stay and try to figure this out. But I know his little sister. There's absolutely no rationalizing with her. So I was like, yeah, I feel like we should just maybe try to figure this out when things have calmed down. So we get home, and that entire night and the next day, we are just getting texts from absolutely every member of his family telling me how I'm the villain, I'm being selfish, and that we just need to rearrange our whole honeymoon to make it to this wedding. But this girl has made every single one of my birthdays, our anniversary, even our wedding about her. So no, not the honeymoon. Not the honeymoon that I have been so excited for. I told my husband, this is not a negotiation for me because this is ridiculous. She could pick another wedding date. There is no reason why this is an issue. She's making it an issue. Like, we actually have a real conflict, and she doesn't. I was desperately trying to get through to this man. I was like, you do realize this is intentional. She picked this day intentionally, and she won't move it for a reason. Like, she is doing it because of our honeymoon. And he's like, no, there's no way she would do that. Like, she always does that. So my husband comes up with what he says is the perfect solution. I go on the first day of our honeymoon by myself, and then he meets me there later. I told him if I get on a plane and I leave for our honeymoon without a husband, I'm coming back without a husband as well. So now my husband and I are in a stalemate, and we're just not seeing eye to eye on this, and his family is just constantly telling me how I'm terrible and selfish. Am I wrong for not budging on this? I don't think I am. I think that I should be allowed to stay firm on this honeymoon that we've had planned for such a long time. But let me know if you think I'm being way too difficult about the whole thing.
It's story time about how I contracted HIV at 19 years old. I've told this story many of times, many different ways, all over the world. But not like this, because the story has changed. I was in ICU with a fever of 103. I had been given a CT scan, MRI, and spinal tap, and the doctors had no idea what was wrong with me. I was in and out of conscious, and they prepared my family for the worst. An infectious disease specialist was called in to look over my test results. She discovered I had pneumonia, which explained everything. I was taken out of ICU where I was, and I was placed in a regular hospital room. And that's where I was on the date of July 17th, 2003. I remember laying in the bed, and it was a knock at the door. It was the doctor. I told him he could come in. And he sat down right in front of me, and he said, "Miss Brown, you have pneumonia." And I was like, "Yes, I'm aware. They told me." And he said, "I'm sorry, but I have something more serious to tell you." I looked at him. I grabbed my heart. And I said, "Oh my God, I'm pregnant." And he said, "No, you're not pregnant. You're HIV positive." And when he said that, I just looked at him. I had definitely heard about HIV, but my education about HIV was Tom Hanks in Philadelphia or a helpless kid in Africa that I seen in the media or in my health books. I immediately thought I was going to die. I probably thought I had 10 minutes left of life at that moment. He informed me not to panic, not to worry, and that he was going to have the infectious disease specialist come in and talk to me later that evening. She did. I seen her about 5 hours later. She came with pamphlets, lots of information. And then we also discussed transmission. And we discovered that I had got it from unprotected sex. I knew immediately where I had got it from because the doctors told me that it had only been living in my body for 3 weeks at the time of my diagnosis, Besides, I was only dealing with one person. She talked to me about disclosure and me wanting to call and tell him that I was positive. I was definitely fearful because in the hours leading up to her coming with the information, I did call family and friends, and I let them know that I was HIV positive. And in that time span, I had already experienced stigma, discrimination, isolation, and I was scared to call him, even though I knew I had got it from him. But I decided to give him a call, but I decided to butter up the conversation a little bit. I remember asking about baseball and his day, and I waited for him to ask me how was things going at the hospital. At this time, I had been there for over a week, and he hadn't come to see me not once. He did let me know that he was scared of hospitals and it wasn't his thing. So I understood, but we did keep in contact. So in our conversation, after he asked me how I was doing, I told him that the doctors let me know that I was HIV positive, and he got quiet. And then he said, "I'm sorry." And then he said, "I'm going to go take the test." Before I could be released from the hospital, his test results had came back, and it determined that he was HIV positive. And he let me know that. And when he told me that, I thought we were learning out together that we were both HIV positive. And I'm also thinking, you're positive, I'm positive, we're going to have a positive life together. But he let me know that we were done, because while I was in the hospital, I told people, and those people told people. And being from Nashville, Tennessee, especially the Black community, which can be considered relatively small, my word has spread pretty quick. And I do have a unique name, thanks to my parents, of Marvelyn. And so even with my name, if you didn't know my face, you knew my name, and you knew that I was positive. And since I had experienced stigma and discrimination to an extent, because it was definitely going to get worse, I gave him grace. I was never trying to protect him or keep his information away from the public. I just knew what I was experiencing. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. I know now that he knew in that moment that he was HIV positive. He knew he was HIV positive before he ever slept with me. But he intentionally gave me HIV. Back then, because I did not know in that time that he had purposely given it to me. I knew he knew, and he didn't want to have anything to do with me. But he still kept lines of communication open. And we would just, check in about HIV stuff or things like that. And when he got too distant, I would react accordingly. I tried to take it to local police, but I was not believed or taken seriously. And I was not by the Nashville community either, because I was considered a hoe, a slut, and people were saying I didn't get it from him, and I was sleeping around, or I was doing this, all these different lies. But I definitely knew where I had got it from. But I was just a 19-year-old girl, newly diagnosed with HIV, dealing with stigma, discrimination. The person who gave it to me wanted nothing to do with me, and I was being shunned out by my community. Instead of giving up, which is what I wanted to do, which would have honestly been a lot easier, I decided to go public with my story, and I began sharing my story very far and wide. I never disclosed his name. I just called him Prince Charming. I figured by telling my story that it would have a bigger impact than his name, because he was only one person who was positive. But looking at the statistics and the numbers, I figured people would be careful with whomever they were with, and my story could help with that. Now, I did write an autobiography that came out in 2008 where I gave some of his characteristics, his hairstyle, even his zodiac sign, which is the Leo. I did put enough out there. My story never changed, but his sure did. I would receive emails from women throughout the years who heard that this was the guy and would ask me and things like that. I would still never tell them, but try to help them with information and guidance about HIV and things like that, because I still wanted to be protective of his status. Because I felt like he wasn't telling people he was positive, even though he was positive, because he didn't want to go through what I was going through, which was being crucified for doing the same thing that mostly everyone does, which is have sex. So fast forward to late 2021, I received an email from a woman who mentioned him and said that he infected her. But this email was different from the countless of other emails I got, because she was pressing charges and they were sticking. Granted, she was white. They stuck. And he was finally being brought to justice. In that moment, he was no longer Prince Charming, the guy who found out he was HIV positive when I was HIV positive. The guy that I so-called protected because I didn't want him to face the shame and the stigma that I was facing, even though he didn't protect me. He was Danny Perry, the guy who intentionally gave me HIV. Stay tuned to more parts when he sees his day in court and me, the surprise witness.
I learned not to deal with boy crazy women very, very fast. You just gotta let those bitches have it, because my God. So one day I am at dinner with my homegirl. We're doing girl dinner. So we're yapping it up, gossiping, with our strawberry lemon drops with tequila, not vodka. Yeah. And we get to the topic of boys. So now it's time to talk about boy stuff, right? Now, this friend, she is very, very secretive about her romantic relationships, unless they're like something she sees going somewhere. So she won't really tell me about like someone she's like hooking up with, or like just casually dating, anything like that. She's not going to tell me that. So when she starts to bring up this boy, I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this. So she tells me about this boy that she's been talking to for like 2 or 3 months now. And she's like, I really like him. And I actually do think like things could work out. I'm like, oh my gosh, do I know him? Like, where'd you meet him? Like, all of the tea. I want to know everything. I want to know everything, girl. So I'm asking her all the typical friend questions, right? And she's like, I don't think you do, but maybe. I'm like, oh, what's his name? We'll just call him Anthony. She's like, this guy named Anthony. I'm like, oh, that's crazy. I'm talking to a guy named Anthony right now too. And she's like, oh, what does he look like? And I pull out his Instagram and she's like, no way. That's the Anthony I'm talking to. I'm like, oh, well, this is a little awkward. It's a little awkward. And she's like, how long have you been talking to him? I said, I mean, he's been on the roster for like 6 months now. Like, I don't know. We've been like I said, casually dating. We're nothing serious, but we've just been like casually dating. And she's like, that's so insane. Like, we literally he's at my house every night. Like, when is he able to see you? I'm like, coming to think of it, most of our dates are during the day. We're doing like adventurous stuff. We're going to the zoo, aquariums, stuff like that, like fun stuff. She's like, I never thought of it, but because I'm at work, I only see him at night. And I'm like, okay, well, this is getting increasingly worse. And me, I'm never going to compete with my friend over a man. I'm not going to compete with anyone over a man. I will just find any man. Not that hard, not that serious. So I tell her, like, I think maybe we should both, like, just take a step back from it, because clearly he's not telling the truth with either of us, or I don't know, something weird is going on. I never said that he wasn't talking, like, we never established that we weren't talking to other people, so I'm not mad that he's talking to other people. But the fact that you're talking to my friend and it's 2 months after me and you or 3 months after me and you started talking, something's fishy, because we're friends at that point. Like, I post her on my story and stuff like that. So my take on it is he saw her on my story and also wanted her. So he DM'd her and basically just tried to play both sides, and it backfired, because why wouldn't friends talk about who they're talking to, right? Right. When I tell her, like, we should just both mutually stop talking to him, she's like, oh, I would never do that. I was like, okay, this is weird. So I just kind of am like, okay, well, I'm gonna stop talking to him then. I guess you can have him, like, I don't know. But the energy gets very, very weird. Like, the energy is so weird. And basically for the rest of the night, we're kind of just, like, on our phones laughing at, like, TikTok and stuff like that until we're done. We pay our bill. We go our separate ways. I text her, like, hey, did you make it home safe? No response. Now, I continue to reach out to her because, mind you, this is my friend. So I'm like, hey, girl, are you good? Hey, girl, are you good? No response. She still follows me on Instagram and stuff, though. So, like, I still see her stories. She's posting just fine. And she actually ended up posting him. Mind you, he still is in my phone heavily, like, trying to hang out, still trying to see me. So I'm thinking, like, maybe I shouldn't have said anything. Like, maybe I just should have kept quiet about the whole thing. So one day he calls me, and I answer this time because I want him to know, like, okay, you got to leave me alone. I know you're talking to my friend now. Like, you have to leave me alone. I answer the phone, and it's her. She's on the phone. I'm like, okay, this looks really bad. I'm like, I get how it looks. So all of a sudden, she is posting a bunch of quotes about, like, how women are fake, and she can't trust women, and men just a bunch of subliminals, right? So I'm catching them. I'm like, okay. And then she starts posting about how I'm fake, and she starts posting my business. Like, she actually put a name on it this time. That's when it was like, okay, girl, you're crazy. You're being crazy. So I try to reach out, like, hey, girl, you're overdoing it. Nothing is even happening. Like, what you think is happening isn't even happening. You didn't even give me a chance on the phone to explain what's going on. And now you're painting this narrative of me being, like, this evil bitch who, like, stole your man. And that's not at all what was going on. No response. So I'm like, okay, she's still going crazy on Instagram, still posting about me, exposing information that, like, no one else needs to know. Not even bad information, but, like, girl, no one needs to know this. Why are you telling people my business? So then I'm like, okay, F it. So I reach out to oh boy, and I'm like, can you please get your girlfriend and tell her, like, whatever she thinks is going on is not going on? He tells me no. He goes, I actually don't care what's going on between you two. You should not have dropped me. I only was trying to talk to her because I was trying to make you jealous, and then you dropped me. So now whatever comes your way, I don't care. He goes on to say he doesn't even want to be with her. He only was with her to make me mad, to try and get me to come back. So now I'm looking at both of them like, you guys are both insane. Like, you guys are both kind of made for each other. This is, like, borderline, you need grippy socks. behavior. Both of you. So what do? I screenshot this and I send it to her. And I'm like, girl, I don't, like, you're punishing me, and look at how he's talking about you. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about me even. He doesn't care about our friendship. He doesn't care. I need you to wrap that, like, get that through your head. He doesn't care. So when I tried to save both of us and told you just drop him, I was doing you and me a favor. Look at what's going on now. Me and you can't be friends because now you've crossed the line. I'll never be your friend again. Me and him, he's a fucking insane lunatic loony bin who is using you to try and get back at me for whatever reason, because I'm okay letting him go. I don't care to let him go so you could have him, because clearly you cared a lot more than I did. And now I look crazy to all these people on Instagram that you're exposing my business to. Everybody's just looking crazy. And you know who doesn't care? He doesn't care. So she finally responds. And she's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. I literally, the way he was painting it was all you. I said, yeah, of course he's painting it that way. They always paint it that way. So after this, basically, I was like, bitch, we can't be friends. I don't like him. I don't like you as two people together or separate. I don't like either of you. We won't be friends. And I learned my lesson about messing with girls that are boy crazy, because girl, you did all this and he didn't want you to begin with. Okay. She did try to be my friend later on, and I am just not the kind of person that's like, oh, I'll give you a second chance. I trust you again. Like, the relationship would never be the same. So I just told her, like, I think that's dead and gone. Like, that ship has sailed. We're good. I don't want to be your friend. And yeah. That's basically what he still to this day still tries to talk to me. I don't know if they were together or not, or what happened after I told her leave me the fuck alone, but he still to this day tries to talk to me. So I don't really know. But I do know I don't fuck with bitches that their whole life revolves around a man, because no. Look at what you did, you evil crazy bitch.
Me meet man on Hinge. Man asked for my number. Me give man my number. Man tried to take me out. Me busy. Me working 2 jobs. Me doing nails. Me serving tables. Me making my bag. Finally, me have night off. Me say, let's go out. Man say, yes. Downtown? Me say, sure. Of course. Man ask, pick you up? Me say, no. Man, no need to know where I live. Me and man meet downtown. Man get there first. Me realize man acting a little weird. Me and man go to sushi spot. Man tell me no hungry. Man order beer and 2 shots. Man take both shots himself. Me think, weird. Me order sushi. Man no eat the sushi. Man eat a couple pieces, but not much. Man order another round of shots. For man. Me like, ding ding, red flag. Man is from Pahokee. If you know, you know. Man peaked in high school. Man talking about high school. Man keep going to bathroom every 5 minutes. Me little sus. Me not realizing. Me and man finished dinner. Me ate. Man did not. Man now 4 or 5 shots deep. Me like 2 drinks. We go to other bar. Man order more shots. Me realizing me know what man is doing. Man keeps going to bathroom. It's snowing for man. Me put 2 and 2 together. Me realize gotta go. Me and man go to rooftop bar. Me finally able to get away a little bit. Man finds me. Man becomes belligerent. Me try to go get man food. Me try to give man food. Man argumentative. Man yelling in my face. Man says, you're not even important to me. Me say, you right. Me leave man in middle of the street. Me go find other friends at other bar. Man texting me. Man saying you fat. Man saying you all hips. Me say, man crazy. Blocked. Me find out later, man got arrested. Man still look at my shit today. Me say hello, Mike.